You know, I was gonna pull that up, then I said, no, I'm not gonna do the legwork for people. You can, if it doesn't make sense to you, go do the research for yourself. But I'm just having more fun on this little rant here. Um, but it's so important to society at large, to our civilization, to our, you know, our individual, um, what we are, and especially this is more about control of the mind. The diet is the deity. The deity is the god. The things that we consume become what own us or control us. And our perception of things, our perception of what's healthy. Now, getting into all of this, there's always the most important part of this is the philosophy and the mindset of saying, the belief, the um, the belief that you'd be healthy is just as important. I mean, you could believe you're going to be healthy all day and have a really strong mindset, and uh, you could you could consume a small amounts of something that would be somewhat uh, poisonous or unhealthy to the body, and you'd maintain health because your mind would overcome that and it would process something. I have a belief system that says what I eat will nourish me. Now, if I hold fast and strong to that, whatever I may consume will nourish me, will give me nutrition, because I know that at the lowest, at the most essential level, everything is just something spinning around as a wavelength, as an atom, as just it's just a vibration, and I can extract from that what I need. To what degree, I don't know. I don't know. There's probably some things that I just couldn't consume or I wouldn't want to, because it'd be the taxing on the physical body. Like if you poured bleach on your skin, you'd be very aware that you did that. all the all the mindset in the world wouldn't change that you're going to get you'll get a burn from that. You could take hydrogen peroxide and you'll see the results of food grade hydrogen peroxide, 35% on your skin immediately. And any mindset's not going to not you're not going to really be able to change that. That's reserved for different realms and higher vibrations of the human body to be able to change that. But as we consume these things that are of different types of vibration, and I was getting into this death thing earlier, saying like eating meat is eating death. Well, if you want to eat meat, go eat it while it's live. Do what animals do. They don't cook their meat. They want the blood. Go get the blood then. Go chase down an animal and eat that. Or if you're a vegan, the reason it's dead is because a lot of the vegan food is dead. It's plasticized. It's plastic. It's chemically altered. It's not food. It's not real living food. It's not, and this gets into the raw thing. Like some things that are underground, like roots and vegetables, should be cooked. There's a reason to extract the information from the root system of a plant, because it holds a different type of energy. And you can extract that with water, with alcohol, and there's a reason to do both of them. One, the water, it would be, you'd boil it and you'd make a stew out of something, and you'd be extracting the nutrition and the information from that. And so there's a reason to use fire, because we're fire keepers. And the reason that fire was used is in colder climates. So as the and I'll go a little deeper here. The reason, if you live near the equator, it's hot. There's not too many reasons to have a fire there, because your food is already made from the fire, meaning the sun, and that sun produces more fruit. Now, as you go into colder climates where the sun is farther away from you, it's not heating up the earth, and you're not growing the types of food there. You're in a cold climate. You'd be somewhere where fruit isn't growing and not too many vegetables are growing. So you'd be eating things that are underground, and to extract that, you would use the fire that you've uh, made locally, meaning you're a fire keeper. You see the sun, you know that it's warm, and you make a fire. And that fire becomes the warmth for your house and the warmth to cook your food. And There's something that occurs in your bowels, in your belly, that you want to heat that up because that's where he lives. That's where Baal lives, the Lord. It's lowered down, and you're lowering down something to warm him up. Meaning, your furnace, your dantian, your stomach, all of this down here, you're warming yourself up with the sun that you've created as fire. And then what do we do next? We start to advance ourselves and our mindset and our practices and our tools, and we start to understand alchemy. And what alchemy does is it turns something into alcohol. The alcohol, the alchemy, the alchemist, we're transmuting something, and we're turning something into what is called fire water. And so we've put the energy of the fire into the water. And so this even goes into, as I always do, because usually people that are vegan, they get into so far into this health. They're all done. They don't drink alcohol. They don't drink any beer, but they'll take their B12 shots, and not like what you're taking or take some pills, like pills, what, ground up. That's not how you would extract the substance. If you want to extract whatever B12 is, means it's basically what you're finding in beer, which is the transmutative force, the living energy which is in beer. Why is it bubbling? What's going on there? What happened in there? That's what B12 essentially is. It unlocks and gives the body energy. And this idea of, oh, well, vegetarians don't get B12. Yes, they do, because their culture would be based upon the food that was around them, and their food, they would realize, turns into alcohol. If they let it out, they're like, what happened here? It's starting to spoil. Oh, spoil? No, it's not spoiling. It's turning to this interesting beverage. And then all of a sudden they use their minds and tools to create alchemical retorts and units to produce vinegar and alcohol. One is through the process of using aerobic, and one is anaerobic. So one is breathing in a certain way to create something anew, which becomes the fire water, which is a part of the process of alchemy. Now, the entire so this is all living things we have to see. We have to understand that the choice in life is to consume things that are living. And this is even getting into, like, if you want to be a meat eater, I'll be redundant here. You should be chasing the animal yourself, and you should be catching it with your teeth and your hands. And if you want to get crazy enough to use a bow and arrow and use those tools that you created to pursue death, I mean, if you got to do it, go do it. You should be eating that thing raw, just like all the rest of the animal kingdom does. Nobody cooks meat. They're not doing that, because the energy isn't in the cooked meat, it's in the blood. It's in the living blood. This is why the organs are eaten in many other cultures, because there's information in there. It's all about the energy in the blood. So if you're not willing to go do that, and you want to be healthy, because this is all about healthy and what it is that you should consume to be healthy. First is a mental diet of accepting yourself and accepting health, and saying that you will derive nutrition from anything that you consume. And secondarily is to really just give yourself an honest assessment of looking at, let's look at water. What is water? Water is H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen is like what you're breathing, plus hydrogen. It doesn't have any other thing in it. Don't go. You see, we get into this really long process of, we got to put salt in the water, we've got to put minerals in the water. No, you don't. That's not what water is. Water is water. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. That's it. What does nature do? Here, let's make it simple again. Remember, everything here is simple. Everything I'm teaching here is to free your mind from the how complicated you think things are. But I have to do all of these allegories. I have to speak all of this to explain to people again and again and again in different ways. What does nature do? What is nature doing out there? It distills liquids. It distills it and becomes rain. And when it drops down and it's been distilled, it has nothing in it. because it shouldn't have anything in it. Water is a solution that goes into your body to remove things that shouldn't be in your body. It pulls things out of your body that should not be there. And in fact, what does it pull out? Inorganic salts. Inorganic things, meaning things that don't have a carbon bond to them. And you're a carbon-based creature. So there's something going on here. It's very simple. What do animals drink? What do they drink? They're drinking from clean, fresh water. They're not putting salt in there. They're not saying, oh, but we need to go to the Himalayas now. We need to get that pink Himalayan sea salt. We need to get that. No, you don't go to the sea to drink the seawater. It's ridiculous. It's so simple. Stop being silly. Stop being like, this is where like I get in this thing, right? Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, don't be stupid. Why would you ever put salt in something? It doesn't make any sense. We've been trained that way. We have it on. How do you know that salt is a poison? Because if you didn't get the note yet, everything in culture is an enemy to your health. So if you go into every restaurant, what do you see? Salt on every table. Right away, that's a big fucking red flag. Why are they putting that salt on every table? Where did that come from? Why should I be eating that? Start here again. Okay, here's a baby come out the womb. Are you going to give it any salt? Nope. You going to give it meat? No, you aren't. A baby to 2 years old grows more than it will the rest of its life. In 2 years, well, we'll take it up to 5, and it's going to grow teeth. It's going to grow bones from what? Milk and water. Milk and water. That's all it's eating. Breast milk and water. There's no bones in there. But somehow the baby grows. It gets bigger. Its organs grow. It becomes stronger. Not eating any meat. It's not eating anything else. It's not consuming any salt. You're not putting salt in anything. And all of a sudden, up to 5 years old, baby food. What's in baby food? Oh, it's usually mashed up, cooked food. Mashed up, cooked food. Here, back to the whole thing again. Everybody wants to be on a raw diet. It's not how it works. It's not healthy. It's not right. It's not how anybody would function. It's not how look at all of the other cultures that are not abused and regulated and turned into monetary-based cultures, moon-based, money-driven, power, patriarchal, masculine. These cultures that are televised and changed through the media. Look at what they're doing. They're cooking things. They're drinking alcohol. They're eating of the land. Some of them, these cultures do eat meat too, but we're not going that direction right now. We're not going to get a long diatribe about that. But they know. Like it's very simple. How are they feeding their children? They're not giving them salt. They're not going off into the. They're not getting on a boat and drinking the seawater when they're out there. They're not going to the Himalayas. They're not going, there's no sense in it. What is the simple, basic things that we do when we wake up? Like, meaning, I'm not saying wake up in the morning. I'm saying wake up from the delusion that you live in. What would you feed your child right out the womb? You wouldn't feed it salt. You wouldn't feed it vegan food. You'd feed it. Here's the simple process. You give it distilled water, rainwater, pure, clean water. You would give it milk from the mother, and as soon as that stops, you would feed it vegetation, and that vegetation would be cooked. It would be turned into mush, so the baby could process it, because that's how it works. Why would the diet change from there? Why would anything change from there? The ability for a child to, because what they're doing is they're releasing a lot of DMT as well. If we really want to get into like chemicals in brains and what they're viewing and seeing and how they're absorbing the world, their consumption habits. Your consumption habit would never include, and I'm being very redundant here, but I'm just to drive it home. Your consumption habits as an organic, feral creature would not include salt, nor would it include meat. It would include vegetation, clean water, You would become an alchemist and see how beer functions. You would process it to the point of making alcohol, and you would take that alcohol, and goes through it. This is advancement of civilization and civil technology and mental technology of understanding how things work. And then you would become an alchemist, and you would start making alcohol, and then realizing that alcohol could extract information from the plants, and that you could save it and use it, and you'd see the wisdom in being able to have in a alcohol substrate all of the information from plant life and use it as a healing mechanism. And then you would see that you would see these simple processes happen. You would see the uses of these things. That everything has a use. Everything has a purpose. And it would be simple. And it is simple. And in that simple equation for what is health, it has nothing to do with a vegan diet. I don't. It doesn't. I don't. Everybody points to these people that are vegan, that are big bodybuilders, and then I go, oh well, they're vegan, but what kind of other things are they consuming? And are they actually consuming a vegan diet, or are they consuming a plant-based vegetarian diet, but they want to claim vegan? And they take all of their whey proteins and all of these soy whatever, and they take all of these other additives to their diet. And once again, it has nothing to do with simple health and what. Look at animals. Let's do it again. Let's try it this way. For anybody that's made it this far, that probably a few stragglers of the vegan cult and getting upset, but maybe this will make sense. It's actually based upon the Kelly Starrett book, who is an amazing physical therapist, and he wrote the book. What was the name of it? Let me see. Hold on. Becoming a supple leopard. A supple leopard. Here's what we're getting at. Like I don't agree with his philosophy on some things in the diet, but what he explains and what we can look at when we look at the animal kingdom. These animals aren't going to the gym. These animals aren't consuming protein shakes. They're not working out every day. What are they doing? They're just being what they are by consuming the things that they consume. Now, there are some animals that are part of the eating meat, but there are plenty, and we can get into all the other ones. They're just being what they are. Look at all of the vegetarian animals out there and how big they are. They're not going to the gym. They're not consuming any shakes. They're consuming clean water, sunshine, and vegetables, vegetation. And in fact, you can find a lot of animals that will find fruit that has gone past its due date and become alcohol. You can find elephants doing this all the time. And they don't really have the ability, because they don't have thumbs, they're not playing with fire, they're not fire keepers, they don't have the ability to make alcohol. They don't have the tools to do it. They don't have the requirement to do it. It's not part of what that animal's culture is. But you can see certainly that when we start at the baseline of all of these things, human or animal, the simple way, what are they doing? What would they consume? They'd consume sunshine by being outside. They'd consume clear, clean water that is distilled or in a pond or a running river. And the amount of minerals that they would be getting would be so small that they would process them through themselves. They would process those things. See, but we put minerals in everything, on everything. So we have an overload of salts and minerals that aren't used because they're inorganic. So these animals, these babies, they don't consume that. So I think I've gone on long enough, and it should at this point make a little more sense. Eat vegetables, make it simple. Find yourself some delicious craft beer that you like, living beer. Find yourself some alcohol if you like. There's a reason to smoke things too if you like that. Tobacco, as long as it's, once again, directly sourced without all the spray on it. There's a use for all of these things. Do some research into shamanism. Do some research into all the other cultures. There's obviously a use for every plant on this plane of existence that we live. There's a use for them, whether they're turned into food or they're put into an alcohol substrate or you smoke them. They're all useful. Have a beautiful day, everybody. We'll talk soon.